Peter, it is the 3rd of the 4th. Welcome to Newspaper Breakdown. We'll start with the National Education Union. It's voted 98% to reject the latest government pay offer. The pay offer of a one-off £1,000 payment and a 4.3% pay rise for most teachers starting September. This triggers 2 extra days of strikes on the 27th of April and the 2nd of May. More than 195,000 members voted in the pay ballot, which is 2/3 of the active membership. The NEU conference this week will debate an emergency motion to confirm the 2 further strike days and to hold a fresh ballot next month that would authorise further strike action in the summer. Education Secretary Gillian Keegan has said that she is extremely disappointed and would refuse further negotiations until the Department of Education has received pay recommendations for 2023-24 from the Independent School Teachers Review Body. There are 3 other teaching unions that are balloting their members over the deal at the moment, with the Institute of Fiscal Studies claiming that even including the pay offer, salaries for experienced teachers would still be 13% lower than in 2010. So although the Education Secretary is disappointed, it's nice to see teachers aren't saying, fuck it, let's continue to be buggered by these bastards. Next story. Since the government pledged to scrap the nearly 200-year-old Vagrancy Act, more than 1,000 homeless people have been arrested for sleeping rough or begging. Officers in England and Wales have arrested over 1,000 people since 2021 for things such as vagrant being found in an open, enclosed premises. You can't have an open enclosed. You can't have an open enclosed, can you? Fuck knows. And begging or wandering around. The implementation date for repealing the 200-year-old law has not been put in place, with the government holding off until they've got a replacement law. This comes as both Sunak and Starmer have boasted about how they will tackle antisocial behaviour. Of course, at no point is it build more fucking houses or something like that, you know. It's just arrest homeless people. The Crisis Charity has pointed out that criminalising rough sleepers who need help would only push them further to the fringes of society. The Vagrancy Act passed in 1824 to clear makeshift camps of discharged soldiers and sailors that were left without income or accommodation in the aftermath of the Napoleonic War. It would be like you're finding out that you can actually still shoot a fucking Welshman on a wall with an arrow. It's on the fucking 7th Tuesday of the 3rd week of fucking Christendom. It is so fucking backward, this pissant of a country. You would have thought that at some point in the past 200 years, someone would have said, hey, should we update this fucking law? Which one? You know, the really pissing old one. We may as well start fucking drowning people for witchcraft if we're going to continue to live backward. Anyway, over in Finland, MP Sanna Marin came 3rd in the latest Finnish general election. with her Social Democrats Party getting 43 seats in a 200-seat parliament. The National Coalition Party, which is the mainstream Conservative Party, came first with 48 seats, and the populist anti-immigration party, Finns, got 46 seats. Outside of Finland, this may of course come as a surprise, because Marion was very popular across Europe for being a young lefty woman in power. She lost due to her handling of the domestic economy. Marion pledged to keep investing in growth, and her right-wing opponents pledged to cut government spending, with words like, "Oh, we must fix the economy," which, if you've spent any time in this country, will know that that is something Conservatives love to say, and people seem to lap it up for some fucking reason. I'm of the opinion that yes, investing is actually, government investing in the economy is good to grow the economy, but also very nice Finland, happiest place in the world. Does love a bit of far right though, doesn't it? Maybe that's why they're so happy, because they don't have to worry about being racist. Everyone's happy with it. Fuck knows. I'm not suggesting that all the Finnish are racist. That would be bigoted of me, and there's no point doing that, is there? As I may get some votes. This continues a trend in Europe over fears of the economy coming above all else. With over in Sweden last year, the Social Democrats lost to the Conservatives. And we'll move on to another story. We did Finland, now Sweden. The Swedish police have pressed ahead with plans to deport Kathleen Poole, a 74-year-old with Alzheimer's who cannot walk or talk, back to Britain. As she does not have an up-to-date passport or financial statements to demonstrate her right to be in Sweden post-Brexit, with her family's application made on her behalf was rejected. She, of course, doesn't have an up-to-date passport because she's bedridden and doesn't travel, what with the severe Alzheimer's. This is a Brexit thing. And although Barnier said that after Brexit, all of the British citizens in the EU will be fine and able to live there free and all that stuff, it isn't the case. But I would think that every tiny dicked bigot in this country would be incredibly happy about this. Look at the other countries sending back their potentially illegal migrants, no matter what state they're in, no matter how vulnerable they are. Send them away. I'm surprised Sweden didn't just send her to fucking Rwanda. That would have been fine, wouldn't it? You tedious, bigoted, fuck-knuckled, wank-stained, shit-stained, fuck-knuckled dickheads. Fuck them all. Christ bike. This fucking country. Anyway. 2 stories left. It's fine. According to government figures, 95% of local authorities across the UK are dominated by men. Shock. Horror. With just over a third of local councillors being women. 18 of the 382 councils have the minimum gender representation parity. At a regional level, no council has gender parity, with 45% in London being the closest. Northern Ireland, 26% is the lowest. In 2022, women in councils was only 2% higher than in 2018. Doing it for the ladies. Of the proportion of local councillors that are women by party, Labour have 47%, Greens 43%, SNP 41%. On the lower end, Tories at 29%, the SDLP at 29%, the DUP at 21%, and the Ulster Union Party lowest at 20%. The low levels can be attributed in part to the sexism and harassment that is found in local government, also a lack of support for those with caring responsibilities, with only a quarter of local councils offering formal parental leave policies. Although women are significantly impacted by local decisions and are more likely to rely on services such as social care and social housing, which are of course run by councils, they do not have an equal say. Thing with this, what's important is representation does tend to shape policy. So you tend not to get more equal policies if it is just straight white men running the pissing councils, or just men as a whole. No point putting a colour into it, just men as a whole. And a final story. The NSPCC and experts on grooming gangs have warned ministers against framing the issue based on one's ethnicity, warning it could hamper efforts to tackle a crime that a Home Office report said was carried out predominantly by white men. Suella Braverman has argued that grooming gangs are almost all made up of British Pakistani men, which is a lie. And I mean, racist? Can we? I know that there is an argument that people who aren't white can't be racist. I don't believe that in any way, shape or form, because I think that's stupid and really does remove responsibility for people's actions. But that seems racist to me, but I maybe I don't know enough about her upbringing. Who knows? Sunak announced new efforts to tackle grooming gangs, claiming political correctness has for too long hampered efforts, which again seems a touch bigoted and almost parroting Tommy Robinson. But of course, go back, can Sunak or Braverman, if they're claiming that the majority of grooming gangs are non-white, which it goes against the data, can that be considered racist? Who knows? Too complex for me. A Home Office report from 2020 on group-based child sexual exploitation found that the majority of offenders were young white men, and it was not possible to conclude whether any particular ethnic group was disproportionately represented. There was a Home Office report. Now, it would be interesting to see if any of Suella Braverman or Rishi Sunak could have got their hands on a report done by the Home Office. It may be beyond them. It may be so far fucking beyond their abilities. If only one of them was, I don't know, the Home fucking Secretary. Maybe that would have been interesting. We do need better responses to tackle grooming gangs. What we do not need is this continual dangerous rhetoric. Because this goes along with Prevent as well, where we are pushing the idea of literally going, right, well, I'll tell you who's absolutely fine, white guys, and I tell you who's bad, everyone else. It's ridiculous. What, you're going to go up to a fucking child who's just been sexually abused and say, who attacked you? We'll get them for you. It was a white man. Well, that doesn't make much sense. Are you sure? Are you sure you weren't wearing a particularly short skirt? It sounds like it was probably your fault. Anyway, let's go fucking punch someone who's not white. It's fucking ridiculous. Bigoted, tedious fuck. Once again, and it shouldn't have to be said, why don't we tackle the crime? I need you to tackle the crime. And there is always an argument. There's always an argument that is made that, right, a higher proportion of, a higher percentage of, let's say, British Pakistani men are in grooming gangs. Now, there is no actual evidence for that, but let's look at it this way. You have 100 white men and you have 2 Pakistani men. So you've got 100 British white men and 2 British Pakistani men. Out of those 2 British Pakistani men, one of them is fucking a child. Out of the British, 20 are fucking a child. You have 50% there of all the British Pakistani men from that particular set of information are fucking children. And you've got 20% of them white British. Well, I mean, that's 50%. We have to do something about the British Pakistani men. My argument would be it may be 20% of the white men, but that is still 20 fucking children being buggered comparative to 1. So I would say you tackle the 21 together. But, you know me, I'm a loony. So fuck 'em. That's it.